All right, welcome back to another Wright Stew podcast. I am Paul Stewart.
I am Brian Wright, and we have made it to the next day. I'm not sure what day it is. This week
Hump
is
day,
going
baby.
by
Hump
so
day.
fast.
Hump day, we're doing it. That was a pretty good commercial. The camel, remember the camel commercial back in the day? The hump day with the who was it? It was the Geico. I think it was the Geico.
Yeah,
That's
dude, it
pretty
was.
good.
I mean, it kind of became a thing for a minute. I didn't used to appreciate Hump Day as much as I do now, if you get what I'm saying. I mean, like, I think you get to a point in life where you're like, you start appreciating Wednesday for what it is. You made
Yeah,
it halfway through, and then you're
get
going to get a couple of
started.
days to breathe. I mean, just with life, kids' activities, sports, dude, it's a lot. And on top of that, when you got a baseball player, right, as a kid, you got to practice too. So you got to mix in that sometimes, and that's
Yeah.
hard to do.
Well, it's interesting too. So we're in North Carolina, and a lot of times, and this was something we kind of ran into when we first moved to North Carolina from DC. A lot of times Wednesdays are left open from practices, and
Used to be.
I say it used to be, right? When we moved here, especially Sundays and Wednesdays were sacred because we're in the Bible Belt, and no practices. And there's a lot of leagues and teams that still kind of, I don't want to say adhere, but still kind of respect that and don't practice on Wednesdays or Sundays. But I think it's
I
becoming
think
less.
we're in a belt hole here. Like, there's a
Yeah.
hole in your
Okay.
not as well respected.
Yeah.
Lacrosse, I'm not sure they even recognize Sunday as, a day of rest. But
8 a.m.
anyway,
practice Sunday morning. Yeah.
yeah, Sunday morning. And it's like, why are we practicing that? It's the only time we get fields. Soccer's got them the rest of the time. It's like, dude, really? So
Yeah. So it is interesting. That's definitely kind of changed over time in North Carolina for sure as the population's grown and that sort of thing. So.
a lot of
So Brian,
northern.
I was on a call this morning with some proper work stuff, and um, somebody had mentioned there was some stuff going on, and it seems like just some if somebody had just used some common sense, things wouldn't have escalated or things would have been solved a whole lot easier. But that didn't happen, and the person I was talking to was a little older, a little wiser, and been around, and they said common sense isn't that common anymore. And I said, man, that's very that's I don't know, man. That's enlightening. And I started thinking about it and kind of thinking through it. And I called you and I said, hey, have you ever heard anybody say it? And I'm sure people say it all the time, but
I don't think people say it all the time, but I do think as we I think with social media, you see a lot more like just people in general, and a lot more opinions are put out there. We put ours out there, right?
yeah, for sure.
So I think you see a lot more people as far as their views, and sometimes it's just hard to find that common ground and the common sense. Where I would like to take this, and as we were talking this morning, and we saw the vote for transgenders and boys essentially in girls sports. I mean, that feels like common sense, and I know you got a little bit better exactly how it worked out mechanically
Yeah.
within.
So the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, a bill that was brought before Senate by Republicans. It needed 60 votes to pass to become official. And so it ended up being 51 to 45. All 45 Democratic senators aligned with allowing it to be something that still happens. And so it doesn't make sense. And then so on Donald Trump's speech last night, he actually brought a young lady who was playing volleyball against a transgender person. And that person was strong, spiked the ball, hit the girl in the face, gave her concussion, knocked like her career was over. Like her volleyball career is over because of this. Yeah, and not to say it couldn't happen with a girl, but far less likely, right? And I don't understand. And then I saw some comments around some senators who are voting. It's like, oh, it's not that big of an issue. It's a talking point. And clearly they don't have kids playing sports or don't have daughters. I don't understand. But
Well, I think In a lot of those cases, they have enough money stolen, maybe, or however they have enough money to be able to send their kids to private school and avoid those circumstances and situations. You don't see it happen at these Catholic private schools and some of these private, uh, very expensive schools. They're shielded from it. And again, common sense isn't that common, and common sense would tell you that anatomically, boys and girls are different. I mean, we knew it from kindergarten cop. Boys have a penis, girls have vaginas, and I
Yeah.
think we were, that was a kindergartner, and or at least was being portrayed by somebody who's supposed to be like a kindergartner, and it's just it blows me away. And again, I think it's hard if you can't agree on what a male and female are. It's bizarre the world we live in, bizarre, and I don't know how we've gotten to this point. I feel like everything has become political now. You can't just disagree. But you got to
Well,
be. It hasn't been that long ago, Paul, where the difference between Republicans and Democrats was very small. It had nothing to do with males and females. I mean, it's incredible.
policy stuff, how we spending money, that sort of thing. But to go back to that, I don't know how you can say you support women and encourage women and do all this, and then flip around and say, well, but men can play women's sports, right? And I'm not going into like the bathroom issue or anything like that, right?
That's
I'm saying that.
ridiculous, dude.
Well,
But
that's a whole separate thing.
I feel like if
But
you get it cut off, you can go into the bathroom. Maybe we could go there. But I mean, I don't know who's judging this, who's looking at it. I feel like I don't know. It's just so foreign to me. But I feel like we should be able to agree that people that are born boys cannot play girls' sport. There's a reason they're separated. The differences in 100-meter dashes is significantly different between the best females and the best males, and the difference in strength, whether you're talking about volleyball player, basketball player, whatever. There's a basketball player up in, what was it, Maine or Massachusetts? What, I think it was Maine, that's just up there dominating, looking like a dude playing against girls, and it's like,
yeah,
so. I mean, how much money? I got a question for you, Paul. How much money would somebody have to pay you for you to say, yeah, it really has not that big of impact, right? It's not that big impact. I mean, would you need $1 million, $100,000? How much? I feel like some of these people got to get paid to be saying this craziness.
to be honest, yeah, no amount of money for me, right? I don't.
You got
It's,
girls. Yeah, you got girls. I mean, imagine if you had yourself, good athlete, grew your hair out back in the day when you could grow good flow, and you decide you want to play girls basketball. I think
I'd
you
have
would
been all
probably would have
American. Yeah,
dominated.
I'd have been great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's one of the comments. So Senator from Michigan, Gary Peters, and I'm reading from an article on a website here, but it says suggested the issue was being deliberately overblown, noting to NBC News that there are hundreds of thousands of athletes and only two individuals in this specific situation. This is not really an issue like in Michigan, he said. People are going to realize that it's been an issue that Republicans have been trying to exploit. And so what he's saying is there's only two people. We fight for marginalized people all the time, right? And
Two is too many.
yeah, and so he's saying, well, there's only two. It's not that big a deal. So what if on the flip side, somebody say, well, there's only two transgender people. It shouldn't matter, right? And in the other circumstance of life. Well, I don't understand that hypocrisy and that line of thinking and just blowing something off like that. And again, I'm not saying I'm the perfect person by any means. I'm not saying,
No.
and
We can be.
I don't get down political
Yeah.
rabbit holes very often. But this isn't political. This is,
No,
like you said,
and it hits close
it's
to home
common
as we both
sense.
have college, as we both have or will have daughters who play collegiate sports, and how that could significantly have been changed if they were competing against dudes. You know, it's so
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah. I don't know, man. And again, it doesn't make any sense at all. And I haven't heard really anybody give a strong reason why they approve of it or why they think it's good or why they think it's fair by any mean. And if we're I mean, if we're doing this, then Title IX's out the window. And I know Donald Trump in his speech said something along the lines of, if anybody is against this, we will take away the federal funding for that school or maybe for that district or whatever it is. So there's certainly going to be ramifications, whether it's voted on Senate or not. So
Yeah, I can't disagree. Obviously we're both on board on that. Jumping in sports, have you seen any baseball, basketball, any sport? What's appealing to you right now, Paul, in the sports world?
spring training baseball, high school, college baseball, college softball. Man, my beloved Garner Trojans high school softball team lost today. So they're now 2-1, probably going to lose their national ranking. Took one on the chin to the Apex Friendship Patriots. 10-9 ball game. Apex Friendship came back and played a tough game. They were a good team last year. We beat them in the fourth round of the playoffs, so no slouch. But I think it's one of those things where, yeah, and certainly in high school, and these girls are figuring out right now, you've got a target on your back, and when you're a nationally ranked team playing locally, you're gonna get everybody's best shot. Everybody's gonna want to come after you, and so I saw that. And so, Brian, have you ever been on a team? It's like when you were at NC State, were you ever on like a really highly ranked team?
Unfortunately, the last time I was on a highly ranked team, it's probably 12 years old. And so it's been, well, I shouldn't say that. When in high school we won the state championship, we were really good. I can remember growing up and like liking the winners, almost like you like dynasties, like
Yeah.
not being kind of anti-underdog. I can remember thinking that way. And as I've aged, life has pushed me more towards the underdog and pulling more for the underdog. It's weird that, and I know you see it, right? You got this target on your back, and I don't know. It does take some mental fortitude to continue to play your best when you are having success, whether it be collectively or individually as a team. But it's also kind of weird and speaks to the mind that you can play a better game when you play a better team. That's always been my frustration with kind of NC State sports in general, not necessarily baseball, but with especially basketball and football. We play a rival or play a really good team, and all of a sudden we play our best game, and it's
You
like,
ramp it up, yeah.
yeah, you feel like the coaches haven't done their job. Like, where if you to give that effort against all these other teams, we wouldn't, this would have been a meaningful game other than, you're trying to win this one rival game or against this what's considered a superior team. I'm really big on the mental side when it comes to, we talk about it a lot with our kids, effort, attitude, focus. And I was watching this thing on the Pittsburgh Pirates and it was showing their spring training. Like it had a behind the scenes spring training. And I think I sent it to you. And it was really interesting. But one of their like four things was like effort, attitude, concentration. Like it was very similar. And I did
Seems
not
like we're
steal it.
pretty
I think
similar.
they stole it from me.
They probably
And,
did. They
you
were in
know,
the DPC huddle after a game, and they're like, "Oh, that's good. We need to use that."
yeah, probably one of the scouts there because a lot of scouts come to that 10, 11, 12.
Well, they're there all the time, with their guns and all, stopwatches, making sure they're watching our boys. So, yeah, but that is interesting, and it makes you think back though to like how hard it was for the Kansas City Chiefs this year, or those Jordan era Bulls teams, or the Kobe Shaq teams. That shows you how good they were, because everybody wants to beat them and everybody wants to see them go down. And or the Patriots teams, right? Like Yankees, all these dynasties we've talked about before. Man, everybody's going after them. Everybody's getting the best shot, and they rise above it more times than not. And it just shows you how good, how talented, how mentally tough, mentally focused all those teams were, or still are, right? And I mean, I anticipate the Chiefs and the Eagles. I think the Eagles might be that now too, right? They've been in it a little bit, won a couple now, and I think they might have that target on the back. And it's interesting too. So you mentioned underdogs. Do we really like underdogs, Brian? Like, do we really want to see the underdogs win? Like when you get
I,
to the NCAA tournament and the like, do we really like what was it a few years ago? We had like Creighton and San Diego State in the Final Four. Nobody wanted to see that. I don't want to see
oh,
the
that's fair.
refs.
That's fair. I will say that you don't want to see underdog play underdog like in that tournament,
Yeah.
but you like one of them. You think about back to like Rocky, kind of the underdog, overlooked, maybe not as smart as everybody else, not great footwork, and he figures out how to beat Apollo, right? And so
Well, you eventually beat him, yeah, but
eventually beat Apollo, then eventually beat the Russian. And so
beat Conor Lang.
I do think America in general likes the struggle and success. And then once you're up on top, as much as we like the struggle and you figuring out a way to win, I think people in general like to see you lose. I think there's something that changes in people,
So
even if
I
it's the
heard
same person.
somebody, I heard somebody today actually talking about Rocky, and they said, "Do you pull for Apollo or do you pull for Rocky?" Because it's two different things. Like Apollo is just amazing, right?
Yes, feet. I mean, yeah,
Businessman, athlete, smooth talker, sharp, the whole thing. But they said Apollo is aspirational. Rocky is inspirational,
I
right?
got a little cold chill with your words of wisdom there.
Yeah, it wasn't my words. I stole that from somebody
Yeah,
else.
yeah, but I mean, now it's your words.
No, yeah. But so Apollo is what we strive to be, but don't think we can be. Rocky is the everyman. He's the inspiration. He's the one guy's like, man, I could be that. I can. And Rocky kind of got his in the movie got his chance by dumb circumstance, but yeah, really, yeah, it's clearly like one of the most inspirational movies of all time. Set the precedent and the standard for every sports movie for the next 50 years. I mean, yeah, Rocky's something. So, again, I'm more of a God. Maybe I was kind of pulling for Johnny. Yeah, okay, Karate Kid.
Oh, put him in a body bag.
Yeah, let's go Cobra Kai. Come on, especially. Have you watched any of the new Cobra Kai?
I have much more likable now.
Johnny's great, dude. I pull for
Yeah,
Johnny so hard, and then looking back and there's the funny thing on YouTube where somebody actually broke down the movie and portrayed Cobra Kai as the good guys. Have you ever
yeah.
seen that?
I have not, but as you're saying it, I can imagine like you got this kid who moves in, steals this guy's girlfriend,
Picks a fight with Johnny right off
picks
the
a fight
bat.
with Johnny as they're at the beach, and he's not
Gets
even
into
really
a fight with
invited.
Bobby at soccer practice.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's doing all this crazy stuff. You know, Johnny's in there trying to smoke a J in the bathroom, the most chill thing you can do.
right. And all of a sudden he pours
Daniel,
water over his
Daniel
head.
pours water on.
He
Right?
deserved to get his ass kicked at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
And then you
and
got
then
Mr. Miyagi coming out of the woods.
some old man, yeah, just using his karate magic on people. Then he used an illegal kick at the end to win the
Yeah,
fight.
I'm not sure. Yeah, the crow is not a sanctioned move
The
within
crane
the.
crane kick, not the crow kick.
Oh, I wanted to call it the crow,
The crane,
but
the
it is the
crane.
crane. 100%, you're right.
Yeah,
It's not a sanctioned move within USA karate. I did
yeah.
look it up.
But I haven't found the time. I got through like watch all the Cobra Kai, and then this last season, the first few episodes were just so bad, and I couldn't.
It
But
fell off. I was the same way. I watched a lot through the first. What's
yeah,
there 4 additional seasons, maybe?
I don't know, too many. My daughter's like, it ends really well. She's like, it's so good, Dad. You need to watch the end.
Okay.
And I don't like. I don't want to watch all this. I just want to. I might just watch the last episode. I
I
don't know.
think I think when you think about the souls of movies in the 80s and 90s, it very much was inspirational. You think
Yeah.
about, even Star Wars, even obviously the
Yeah.
Rocky movies.
Oh, the rebels were the underdogs. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're all like Days of Thunder coming back after his crash, and
Yeah.
all those movies were kind of the underdog story, which you know is essentially kind of the American story, right? You kind of can start from wherever you start from. Nobody's equal. and then you find a way to work a couple of jobs and
So,
die
so
young.
like Moneyball was about the underdog A's.
Yeah,
Would you watch a story about the '98 Yankees, which is like one of the most, arguably the greatest team of all time by some estimations?
I probably would, Paul. I would. I mean, we watched it about 61, right? You knew
Well, there
Roger
was there was
Maris.
more there was more. Well, Maris was an underdog.
That's fair
Nobody
too.
nobody wanted to see Maris break the record. They want to see Mantle break it, not Maris.
Hey, speaking of Mantle, if you Google him, this seems unbelievable after looking up what we looked up last night. Supposedly, he was able to bunt and get down to first base in 3.1 seconds. That's literally almost a second faster than the fastest guy now. I'm saying somebody had to mistime that. That's not, I mean, that would be going like 25 miles an hour based on just kind of the numbers we talked about yesterday, where, Bobby Witt Jr. was 30.5 feet per second. And, I don't even know what that would equate to, but I think some of these numbers from back in the day, and supposedly I believe Mantle hit I think some of this stuff has been told and kind of stated as fact. And it doesn't feel possible that I mean, that's like him running like a 4.0140. I mean, something stupid.
So I just did a quick Google at ChatGPT, and it says
Chat GPT is stupid.
it's not always right.
I would
But
just
I
say it
typed,
didn't make sense based on what we saw yesterday.
they spit up a whole bunch of calculations, and it said 19.8 miles per hour, which seems like it should be fast. I don't know, Chat. Here's so I've had a lot of conversations around AI, machine learning, that sort of thing.
That's kind of your world, and when we're
Yeah,
not doing
and
this.
Chat GBT comes up, and a lot of the folks that I talk to are trying to figure out like how do we use this? Can we trust it? How can we use this? I had this one ask me how many R's are in the letter strawberry, and Chat GBT says there are two when there's literally three. And so the other day, one of my friends, I'm on kind of a little chain with a couple people, and we're always kind of sending like sports trivia around stuff like that. And I think I should actually ask you, Brian, this question: who was the last ACC player to finish in the top two of scoring in the NBA? So a
I,
player who attended an ACC school, who was the last player to do it? So Michael Jordan did it several times. It's not Michael
yeah,
Jordan.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was
I
it
guess
was
I'm gonna go.
somebody.
I mean, Grant could have. I don't know if he ever did it though. I don't
It
even know if
wasn't
we're
great.
going
So
back.
the top two in scoring was the question. So anyway, the answer is Jerry Stackhouse.
Okay.
Is who the answer is. He finished, I think it was 2001, 2002 in that time frame. He
Yeah.
he finished in the top two. Um, so it got me thinking. So I went to Chat GPT and said, "Hey, who were the top scorers from in ACC history that played in the NBA? So which players scored the most points in the NBA who had played in an ACC school?" And so I see the list pop up, and I'm like, Michael Jordan's not listed on this. So I said, ChatGPT, how come Michael Jordan's not on this list? Oh, we missed that one. He was a great player for the Bulls, and yeah, like let me amend the list. And then I looked through a little more. I was like, hold on, Vince Carter's not on this list.
Vince Carter would have
And
been
then
my.
he was like, he should have been like fifth or sixth or whatever. And then like, oh, our apology. I'm like, come on, ChatGPT, get.
It's like, dude, what the hell do you know? I mean, if you they
Well, I kind of went. I
like
was
they
like,
spit out the words with such confidence, and we have
yeah.
so much trust in computers that we just expect them to be right. And
Well, I
those
kind
lists, we
of,
saw it when we were trying to
yeah.
find when we were doing our little stories at the beginning. I can't remember. Maybe it's
It was home
the Hall
runs.
of Fame.
Yeah, it was home run. The Hall of Fame. How many home runs were hitting this shortest season or whatever it was? It
Yeah,
gave
and it
give
was
some
just
bogus answers. We
yeah. I'm
didn't
not real
we didn't
sure you
fact
can
check it.
trust it.
It was early podcast and we didn't fact check it. But so I went into ChatGPT. It's like ChatGPT, you've got the whole internet. Like, how are you getting this wrong? Oh, well, sometimes our searches need to be like, come on, guy, come on, ChatGPT, do better.
Yeah, you feel like we could do better. I mean, obviously they haven't asked me to get involved. But yeah, I'm not saying Mantle wasn't fast, but I don't think he ran a 3.1 down the first base when the best ones are a little over 4 right now.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
that's cooking. I don't know, maybe he did. He was a great athlete. He blew out
nine
his knee.
tenths, you know how many 9/10 is in that shorter period of time, dude?
That's how much
That's like
output
going
that
from
was.
a 5.040 to a 4.140. And it's like, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm a hater. Maybe, I mean, they had smaller bases then. We got giant bases now. I'm not sure, you know, maybe you get a
Yeah,
run and start if you're bunting.
well, if you're kind of drag button, something like that. You get a little movement towards the base.
Hey, let me ask you this. Why do you think, you know, you obviously been very involved with softball. Why do you think left-handed slap hitters in baseball has never taken off?
Ichiro did a little bit of it. He kind of did a little bit of it.
I
I think,
hated his swing too, to be honest with you. As a baseball guy, I thought
yeah,
his swing was just an abortion. It
I
was
think so. Softball, the bases are 60 feet, much smaller field, and the goal of slap hitting is almost to hit the ball poorly, to hit it slow, like miss-hit it almost. Because if you do that, the ball goes slower to its ultimate destination of a glove, right? And so the worse you hit it, the better off you are. It's almost like a swing and bunt. And then it just allows you to get up the line. Baseball players, I don't think have the ability to do it because I think that the bases are too far. 90 feet, there's too much time for the third baseman or shortstop to come in and make that play. It would be interesting to see if somebody could do it. I mean, you've seen a lot of guys have success. Brett Butler with his bunting. It's been a handful of guys who bunted a little
well,
bit.
I think you see so many shifts in college baseball. I finally saw some guys lay down some bunts. Didn't get a double, but
Yeah.
I would just not allow that as a hitter. I just couldn't. I mean, it'd be different if runners were on second, third, less than 2 outs, or maybe even first, and you're down a couple of runs. But nobody on, nobody out. I'm taking that hit
Yeah.
all
Well,
day
and
long.
in those situations too, man, if the shift's on, you don't even need to be like super covert about it.
No,
You can
no.
just square up and really get in there and
You
bunt.
just push it down third baseline if you're left hand. Normally they're shifting. I do think the shifts that they're doing in the MLB, part of me says the hitter needs to be adjusted, and then part of me is like, I thought we took this out. They're playing one step over. It doesn't feel like that
They're
rule
playing like
actually did
directly
anything.
behind the bag. Yeah, it's not what they I think intended it to be, but it's whatever. So
Let's speak on Duke basketball real quick. Duke basketball has a kid that is 5'8" who's a walk on.
okay.
Scored the other night in a game. But last night they were up 40 on Wake Forest. Wake Forest is supposed to be on the bubble. They were 20-19, and Wake Forest basketball looked like no competition. Cooper Flagg, as a freshman, should be definitely lottery, probably top one or two, three
He's
picks.
gonna be a top two pick. Yeah.
And there's rumors that he may stay for one more year.
Really?
Um, any shot that if you were his father, you would say, and the other room, if you were to Google him, that he has earned collective somewhere around $4 million, 4.1 to 4.8, depending on what you see. Now, your first big contract, even as a rookie for first or second pick, is like a 4-year, $50 million deal. Is there any way you would tell your kid if he was first, second, third pick, hey, stick it out, have another good time? He talks about how much fun it's been playing at Duke. Is there any chance you would encourage your kid to stay based
So
on
he's
the
he's
yes?
making around $5 million this year at Duke, which that's probably enough to I don't want to say retire on,
You could
but
do it for 4 years.
if you had the right people in your corner, you could probably live off of that and do pretty well. And I would imagine if he said, "Hey, Coach Shire, I'd like to stay another year. Could you make it worth my while?" It's- there's enough really smart, really influential, really rich people that would say, "Here's a couple million for Cooper. Let's do this." I don't say he could make NBA money, but again, he could set himself up.
But if it was your kid, what would
If
you
it was my
encourage?
kid, man, again, like that's the crazy thing now, though. That's
So the real numbers
he
from
can
last
he can
year.
make it. He can legitimately make $10 million next year. NBA money is in 30, 40 million, whatever it is, right?
I think it's 50 million over 4 years. I don't know how it's actually cut up and what it looks like,
it's
but
a different level of money, but
it's a different lifestyle too.
yeah, and he
It's
is
not. I can't. I would imagine like baseball. You didn't get to experience college baseball. College baseball was so much more fun than minor
he
league
is the
ball.
biggest he is the biggest fish
Yeah,
and a pretty
in a
big,
good sized pond, but not an NBA pond.
but he is the alpha fish. He is the shark. He is the big fish in that pond, and he would be on the cover of any college basketball game, every magazine, every. I mean, he would be a rock star. So I don't know. Maybe that turns into just if he came back, it would be like when Peyton Manning came back his senior year, or Tim Duncan came back his senior year, or just one of those kind of unprecedented. I like it would be like I think it would be really cool. It would be exciting, and I think it would be if he goes to the NBA. I probably don't follow him. I can follow him a little bit, but not as much. If he stays at Duke, that is a national story. It's a huge narrative, and I think it'll be a really fun story. I'd hate for him. Again, we talked about Dewan Wagner the other day, and I would hate to see something happen where they find some sort of God forbid, right? A heart condition, or he breaks his leg and can never play again, or something like that, right? But man, like just from a selfish standpoint, I think it would be a lot of fun, especially us being here, in the triangle. Yeah, that'd be a lot of
Well,
fun.
it wouldn't be fun as an NC State fan because
Well,
basketball,
no, maybe you get tickets to the Duke game and get to
yeah,
see him.
yeah, I think you do, and then maybe you sell. I mean, he's generational talent. Nobody like that for a long time has stayed more than 1 year, and so that
No,
would definitely. That think that is kind of the positives of the NIL or the collective is guys may be willing to stick it out another year that otherwise would clearly be gone, right? And I don't blame guys. I wouldn't blame, like you said, if he ended up with $10 million next year, and then I don't know. I mean, is that really going to hurt your draft stock? I mean, who knows? Especially the lottery, those bottom 10 teams, they could switch. It's not necessarily the worst team. Now you can change that and turn that around quickly, but it's a different environment, a different pressure, probably a different culture than he's coming from Duke.
yeah,
And I got to give commends because when Shire was first hired at Duke, I wasn't sure. Like there were some good coaches, I'm sure they passed up, and some previous really good players that Coach K decided to go with Shire, and he's done a really good job. I mean,
yeah.
putting
What
together.
most wins by most in the first 81 wins in the first 3 seasons, most ever by any. And I mean, to be fair, they had one coach for the last like 40 years with Coach K, so it's not like they've had a bunch turning over all the time.
No, no, that's 100% true. But man,
But still
I
impressive.
would
Still
say
really good.
part of me is like making it to that pinnacle is really hard, right? And clearly Coach K did and kind of set the program as a standard.
Yeah.
But it also takes a special person to be able to take that from a handoff and
Okay.
keep it there and take a step up. You see Hubert Davis at North Carolina is having a little bit of troubles, having a good year. The ACC is just not respecting, and so they're on the bubble getting in, and there's rumors about people wanting to fire him, and it's just
Uh,
really
they
it
don't want them
really
there. Yeah.
it's really amazing that if you can actually keep your team at the pinnacle, man, I respect that more than I used to would have. I've been like, nah, you were born there, but he's done a really good job. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, man. So great conversation. And we went down that semi-political road with the common sense there, but it's certainly, like I said, it's something that Brian and I are super passionate
oh
about and
yeah,
care
so
about.
so retarded.
And it's something that we have. Yeah, clearly we're engaging because we have daughters playing high school and collegiate sports. So
Hey, this is again just so if nobody read the description, baseball, sports, and life, And this was a little bit life, a little bit sports. It's going to have to be. Hopefully, that is the conversation. Hopefully, people enjoy that.
So cool. Well, thank you for listening. Make sure you continue to like, subscribe, and share this with others. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
Out. Go Pack.